All right, we are back. The one and only OSB Sports Podcast Show. I am Scott Matthews. Of course, we're looking for a big week. We're going to have a special guest on the show we'll talk about in just a minute. I want to introduce my two cohorts on the show with me, the one and only CEO of the Sports Profits, Teddy Brooks. What's up, Teddy?
What's happening, guys? Excited for playoff football this week.
You got to be all jacked up. And, of course, the one and only, here he is. The
Jack.
big kahuna.
Yep. Wild card weekend, man.
You ready?
I'm always ready.
You been doing your homework?
I'm doing my homework.
You've put out a lot of winners lately, so let's keep it rolling, guys.
Yeah. The phones won't stop ringing.
What's the deal with the coaching carousel? What'd you think of that? A couple of guys let go already?
It happens every year, Black Monday. I mean, these owners aren't putting up with anything, I think. Years ago, they held on the coaches a little longer.
Yeah.
I think now the window is 1 year, 2 years, and get the hell out, man. Arthur Smith, Falcons, adios, amigo.
Yeah.
Ron Rivera.
It's like you a little bit. He gets rid of them quick.
Yeah, well, I should get rid of a lot of people. Ron Rivera, adios. Mike Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel.
Vrabel,
I was a little surprised about that one.
And the GM of the Panthers, they should get rid of the owner. That guy's a little bit of a hothead, I think, that new owner of the Panthers.
Yeah, he threw the drink.
Now he's a Wall Street prick that makes billions of dollars, and I think those guys just think they own the world, basically.
Here's the real question. Tommy D at the beginning of this football season predicted, before we even saw what was going to happen with the Patriots, he predicted Belichick's was going to be out.
It's not official, but
that's the real one that I think everyone's waiting to see. Will Belichick stay or go?
Well, you know, there's a talk right now that Mike Vrabel, because obviously he was a great player for the Patriots and he's tight with the organization. If they do move Belichick, they could bring in a coach like Vrabel into the mix for the Patriots.
And we got to see what happens with the new national champion head coach, Harbaugh.
Yeah,
a lot of people saying he might come to the NFL because he doesn't want to deal with all of the headaches from the NCAA that they're giving him with these investigations and stuff. If he leaves, all that stuff's over and he doesn't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tricky one. I mean, he's not giving you any indication whatsoever if he's, so when they do that sometimes, that means I think they're moving.
Really quick,
at the end of the day,
before we bring on our guests, while we're talking about coaches, I want to tell you guys about, and you might not have seen this, they just announced it today, something interesting that the Miami Heat did.
Eight-year contract.
They just extended Spoelstra 8 years, $120 million. But do you know why it was today?
I do not know.
They were waiting for his divorce to finalize.
I was just going to say that.
So that he didn't have to give his ex-wife half of that $120 million.
He married an ex-dancer for the Heat.
Yeah, for the Heat.
And they have a kid. And that's a big paycheck, man.
Well, he's a phenomenal coach. Look what he's done with that team. He's been there 16 years. I mean, they've won multiple championships. I mean, he's a tremendous motivator. He knows how to, put talent together. I mean, the guy is phenomenal. And he's a young coach, though.
No, he deserves every penny.
He started as a video assistant for the Heat.
Yeah, he worked
same way who. They're kind of falling apart now, but same way McDaniel started for the
you don't see that,
Dolphins.
Though, given 8-year, big-time contracts like that, especially in major sports right now.
College football maybe, but
I mean, they did it with Gruden. It didn't last too long with the Raiders. They gave him $10 million a year, $100 million. What was he gone? And, he had that problem.
Well, he had other issues that went beyond not winning the game, so.
Yeah.
How's his ex-wife feel getting slighted out of $120 million?
I'm sure she'll be fine either way.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff going on right now. College football's over. What was your take on the championship game, the outcome? What did you think of that game? It was a good game until the third quarter.
It was a good game. It really showed us that Michigan's defense was just too strong. But Penix didn't have his best game. I think it would have been a little bit different if Penix really stepped up. He didn't have his best game. I was wrong. I thought Washington was going to keep it much closer. They didn't.
I agreed with you on that.
Yeah, we agreed on that one. But we still had a really good week last week on the ones we agreed on. We all agreed on Pittsburgh. We all agreed on the Rams over the 49ers. I even had someone comment on my YouTube video that they thought that was the only game that we were wrong about was the 49ers-Rams. But, yeah, we had a good week overall last week.
Well, I did use the Rams, so.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
we all agreed on the Rams last week if you run the tape back.
I don't know, man. There's just a lot of good things going on right now. Obviously, now we got to start focusing in a whole different direction with college basketball heating up this time of the year. You got the NBA going on. College football's over. but we're going to get into it a little later. I know you have a great guest you want to bring on, Caleb, who's the CEO of Vault Sports. Maybe you want to bring him on. Ben, can we get Caleb on?
Yeah, so Caleb is the CEO of Vault Sports. Really cool platform. They do a lot of different things, and I think it'll do him way more justice for him to kind of explain his story.
Right.
And really what it shows you, it's like the gold rush back in the 1840s, where the people they made all the money were the ones that sold the tools to dig in the mine. So there's so many different avenues to build businesses around sports betting, not just betting on the games.
Right.
So that's, I think, what Caleb's story tells us. So excited to hear about it.
Ben, can we get him on?
Let's bring him on.
There he is.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Caleb, what's going on? Scott Matthews, we're joined by Teddy Brooks and the one and only Tommy D. Welcome to the show, man.
Likewise.
Appreciate it.
Likewise.
Appreciate it.
You
Yeah,
got-
I mean, I think the cool thing that, just what you were saying, Teddy, right off the bat, like there's so much going on in the sports betting space that, under the hood that nobody sees. So it's exciting to be part of that stuff. That's, not like the big books, like, the other sports books. So excited to chat today.
Awesome. So tell us like how your company started. I saw you, on Forbes top 30 under 30, which is really cool.
Wow.
$4 million valuation to your company. I don't know if that's changed since that article came out, but tell us how you started, where you kind of moved, and where you are now.
Yeah, like humble beginnings. That's for sure. I mean, so we started back in 2020. Our original focus was we wanted to create digital tools to help sports bettors. And it's funny too, like before I started the company, I had never placed a sports bet in my entire life, which is, I always think it's funny to say that, like it often surprises a lot of people. My co-founder, brilliant guy, he does a lot of coding and machine learning models, that kind of thing. Our first product, we basically used machine learning models to simulate and predict NBA games. And so that was our first product. We pushed that out. It was, very successful product. And we did that pretty much all of 2020. 2021, we pivoted to the Vault Sports mobile app. Again, even a more powerful tool to help sports bettors. It was this idea where there's so much data that sports bettors got to deal with, and so much information that they aren't aware of, right? Namely, all their betting data, right? And so we created an app that would link to all their different sportsbook accounts. It would automatically track all their bets, their stats, their data, their bankroll, everything in one central spot. So we did that for a couple of years. And then most recently, kind of middle of that last year, we ended up pivoting, kind of shutting down the app and pivoting into the B2B space. And now we're basically using the technology and the things that we had built to help other companies in the industry. So
Sounds like you guys got it going on in a new direction out there. Are you finding it more younger people, obviously, are jumping on your type of system? I mean, the old school guys are kind of set in their ways, so I would think it's probably a much younger audience using your type of technology or product, correct?
So kind of speaking back on the mobile app, like when we originally went into it, we looked at actually the older guys and the more like avid sports bettors, thinking that was going to be our main customer.
Right.
The challenge with there is, they're already set in their ways, like you said.
Exactly.
They have their spreadsheets, that kind of thing, and they're not gonna want to change. And we found it was really more for the sports bettors that were like realizing, you know what, I'm going to put more into this. Like I want to get better. I want to improve. How can I do that? It's going to be by tracking my bankroll, following my stats, figuring out where I'm not doing well, where I'm not doing so well, different things like that. And we found that was our biggest market was in that category.
Yeah, I think the use of technology is always going to be geared towards younger people who are more willing to use it. Now, with the idea, like what I think I might know the answer to this, but sparking the bet tracking idea, most people just use one app, right? And we always preach on our shows, hey, you need to line shop. So is that part of what, like a lot of people don't even know what that means. Is that part of, and you, being that you never placed a bet before, what kind of sparked like, hey, people need to have different apps and all that? Was that part of it? Did that spark it? What's your take on that?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of funny. Like the UK market and just the European market in general is obviously way ahead of us in terms of how long they've been around, right? And I want to say the average that they have over there is like 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 different sports books, and that's like a very common thing. Here in the US, I want to say that it's actually higher than you would think. I want to say it's actually like 2 or like somewhere between like 2 and 2.5. Again, very different depending on the demographic that you're thinking about. But yeah, to answer your question, like that was one thing that like if you're an early on better, line shopping, might not make much sense to you. But again, once you start realizing like, you know, the numbers and the winnings are in the little tiny things that you do along the way. Like line shopping, getting that extra
You
couple
got to get the
points.
edge. You got to get the edge, right?
Exactly. And tracking that, like even the little things, like tracking all these different things can really just help you increase that much better, right?
Is it more geared for like for something like that for like straight bettors, or obviously parlays is a little harder is it more for straight bettors, you think a system like yours geared for, or is it
Yeah.
for any type of player?
Yeah. Um, we never really drilled down that far. We never really figured out if that was like, um, which route worked best.
Right.
We had a lot of parlay bettors reach out to us and like, just like, oh, we love what you're doing, and it's fun to be able to see how I've done over the years, right?
Yep.
It kind of depends. Like people used it for different things
And
back
even
when
like props nowadays, I mean, big, props is huge with these young kids, especially. They want to be in the game all the way through it. Different things chasing after these games. So I don't know how that comes into play as far.
Yeah. I actually, that reminded me of something. So one of the things that we learned, FanDuel actually, does this pretty well, and some of the other sports books are catching on, is the idea that your phone is what's called a second screen, right? When you're watching a game, they say like 70% plus of sports bettors have their phone in their hand and they're using it for something, whether it's like checking scores of other games, maybe it's checking like how their bets are doing, checking how like, how the odds are changing, or how how that game is shaping out. And I think it's really exciting to see like other apps and technology in the space evolve to get better at that, right? And to be able to like show your information, like how close your bet is to hitting. Maybe it's like giving you other options to bet. Like one of the things that before we decided to pivot, we were wanting to do was basically like if you were winning a bet, it would put another bet suggestion in front of you, like, hey, you're crushing this bet. Do you want to bet on the second half or something like that, right? And just always putting things that are going to be very relevant to that user, that bettor, in front of them at the perfect time. I can see that taking off in this industry pretty soon here.
I have a question, Caleb. I know you're involved with affiliates, and OSB is an affiliate. Where do you see the model going? CPA to rev share? Where do you see the books, how the books are going to work in the future?
Yeah, this is a great question. It's something that we're really thinking about, like, kind of over long term. I don't know how much your audience knows, but basically, like CPA is a fee or a commission that a sports book gives for every new user that you get to sign up. Whereas rev share is you get a portion of revenue that a sports book makes, right? We look at like the Australian market, UK market, European market that I was talking about before. They are like pretty much all rev share. And the reason's obvious, right? Like most people have seen these sports books for years and years and years. Everybody signed up for all of them, right? And I can see that happening too here in the US. We're still very fresh. Like I feel like we're still in the first few innings of the sports betting industry. But I can see it moving towards that. I can see a lot of products and I can see a lot of companies that can help with that because, what you don't see under the hood is how like screwed up, I don't want screwed up is a bad term, like just how unorganized this industry is. And like it's all packaged up nice when you see the DraftKings, the FanDuels, the Caesars, et cetera, right? But everything else under the hood is it's just scramble. It's unorganized.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention names, but some books have horrible reporting, and
Yeah.
there's issues.
Yeah.
Take it easy over there, big.
So,
Take
so
it
yeah,
easy.
Caleb, I like the whole. I think, just to touch on that, I think really before things get into the middle or later innings, we need to get all the states right in line. Some states allow you to bet on college, some don't. So I think, once all the states are all legalized, which probably will happen soon, that's when we'll start to see things kind of get into those later innings. But
I think everybody's going to move to Florida because anything goes in Florida.
California may turn into Florida. The tribes may run it. They're not going to have outside people. That's what they're pushing. Texas could be years to even get it.
Yeah.
So that's 100 million people right there.
And the thing is, in the States, a lot of people look at rev share in a negative light, especially like Congress people and lawmakers, because they look at it like businesses are benefiting from people losing rather than just signing up. So it kind of has a negative implication.
And Caleb mentioned UK and Aussie. They have kicked affiliates out, actually, although they'll for 10 years, and then they'll say, good, thank you for your work, we're moving on. So
I think we're going to go ahead, Caleb.
I was going to say one more quick thing. I agree. Like as an affiliate ourselves, like the rev share model, it doesn't always hit me the right way. And what I almost think is, right now we see the CPA model, the rev share. I think somebody needs to create like a new model that can somehow help with retention, right? Like if I'm an affiliate and I can show that user bet on sportsbook A versus sportsbook B, then I should be compensated for that, right? Like I don't necessarily want to be compensated on if that user loses. I want to be compensated on if I sent that player to your sportsbook or
if you pulled him from one sportsbook to another. So if this guy was on FanDuel and you pulled him to another one, hey, I should get credit for that, right?
100%.
So, Caleb, we do have to wrap it up because we got some games to talk about. I see you have a Packers shirt on there, so I know who you're rooting for. Do you think they could? You think they could pull it off? In all honesty.
So I think they're going to cover, but I think it's going to be a tough game. That's for sure.
You just gave out my pick. So, all right, man. Anything else you want to add before?
How can the people find them?
Yeah, of course.
So if you're a company, if you're a creator or a company and you're looking to promote sports books, talk to us. We do a lot of different things to help empower sportsbook affiliates. You can find me on LinkedIn is usually the easiest way. Otherwise, our website is vaultsportshq.com.
All right. Well, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for getting up with us. And in your case, go Cheeseheads against the Cowboys. Good luck on that one. And we appreciate you being on the show, and we'll bring you back down the road and let us know what's going on with the industry, how it's been going.
Sounds good. Good to see you guys.
Thanks again.
Caleb.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right, interesting. Listen, guys, a lot of stuff going on in the sports world. It's not just about picking games. There's a lot of moving parts right now.
A lot of technology. I think that's what Caleb and his company specializes in, is creating technology.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, creating technology to give to people like us, maybe like OSB.com, to put onto their website to help.
Big Kahuna and I might be a little lost in the shuffle
their
with all this
customers.
technology. What do you think?
Well, hey, that's why there's people like him out there, and you can't have all the can't wear all the hats.
I mean, think about when we got in this business. We were running 1-inch ads in newspapers.
1-inch
They don't
ads
even
in
have newspapers anymore.
Sending out postcards.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Crazy.
I saw a video on Instagram, and it was a guy that had a bunch of parlays, and he had one of those quarterback sleeves that the quarterbacks put on their arm while they're playing with all the plays, and that's how he was tracking his parlays. So this type of technology is going to help.
Oh man, I'll tell you, the way these young kids nowadays, they got so many different things going on throughout these games. But anyways, listen, it's a huge week. Obviously, the NFL playoffs are here. We got games on Saturday 2, 3 on Sunday, 1 on Monday. I want to get right into it because we got 2 really solid matchups going on Saturday. The early game is Cleveland Browns. How about Joe Flacco? 4-1 as a starter, averaging over 300 yards passing against probably the rookie of the year, C.J. Stroud. Cleveland is a 2.5-point favorite in this game in Houston. What's your thoughts on that game, Teddy?
My thoughts are Joey Flax. He said it the other day. He's old enough to be some of these guys' dads. If
39 years
old. If he
old.
had kids young. He has the experience. He's a Super Bowl champion against a rookie who is going to be a great quarterback in his future. But this Cleveland team has the steam They have the defense. They have everything that it takes. I think Stroud has a little bit of weapon issues right now. His weapons aren't maybe where they need to be. And you got big Amari Cooper for the Browns. So he's a premier receiver. Even without Chubb, they're still killing it. I'm on Cleveland. I would buy this one. Well, no, if it's at 2.5, I'd leave it right there. Maybe dabble with the money line a little bit.
What's your thoughts, Big Kahuna, on this matchup?
My thoughts are
Houston.
you got two quarterbacks that could throw for 300 yards each. All right? These two teams met early in the year. I believe the score was 36-22. I can't see why this total is only 44.5.
That's what it is, 44.5.
It's what it is. I think it's low. The Big Kahuna, over.
Wow, the Big Kahuna called himself the Big Kahuna. That's
Big
the first
Kahuna
time
over.
in all the shows. I love it.
Who's going to cover?
It's wearing off.
Starting to talk about himself in the third person now. You got to watch out.
Anyone's guess who will cover?
You better get him a tranquilizer.
You'll see points here.
All right. That makes sense, right?
I hope so.
I think you got a rookie quarterback. He's going to want to showcase himself after a great year, and you got a guy that's thrown for over 300 yards in his 5 starts, in Joe Flacco. But I'm going to agree with you on this one big time. I like Cleveland in this game. I would just money line the play. I wouldn't even worry about a point spread.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Why worry about 2.5? Let them win the game, and you get your payday. I think Cleveland's the right spot in this game. I think the experience of Flacco against a rookie quarterback, and I think he can make better decision-making, and I think Cleveland is definitely the more stronger, consistent team. So I'm taking this as a 7-unit play, and I'm making Cleveland a money line against Houston. That's my pick on this game.
Wow.
All right, we got another big game. Let's start with you, Big Kahuna. You got your Miami Dolphins. I don't know what they're like. Dr. Jekyll,
not mine.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Let's get right
Kansas
to it.
City.
They're playing in KC. It's going to be like the North
They
Pole.
said 1 degree.
It's going to be frigid.
Frigid ain't the word.
That ground's going to be hard. If you're going to have to pick a team that has an advantage in cold weather, it has to be the Chiefs, not the Dolphins sitting here in 80-degree weather. Dolphins have proved to me they can't win the big game. They're not going to win the big game in KC. I'm going to lay the points with the Chiefs to beat the Dolphins by 7 to 10 points.
So you're laying the 4.
Yes, sir.
All right. Best bet?
I got something better.
Something better. Big Kahuna's holding out on me. All right. All right, Teddy.
Listen,
what's your thoughts? I know you got to have thoughts on Dolphins.
This Dolphin team is just a real disappointment. And to add on to what the Kahuna was saying, they're 0-10 in their last 10 games with this type of weather. I think it's like under 10 or under 20 degrees when it's...
They did play well in Buffalo, though, in that playoff game last year.
Well, did they win, though?
It was
No.
cool. No, they didn't win, but they had a lot of injuries.
Still 0-10 in that type of weather, and they have a lot of injuries. That's another thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they are
they're
hurt.
They're a mass unit.
They're just a mess right now. I would love to see them win, being, Miami, South Florida guy, but just nothing in my system. The only thing that's a little weird on this game...
I think KC's banged up, though.
They are.
They got a lot of
and
injuries.
here's the thing. KC's receivers have been, and even Kelsey, have been just complete disappointments this year. The weird thing about this game to me, which is why I'm not really betting it at all, is the line to me is a little bit low. I almost think this line should be -6 KC.
I don't know about that one.
I just
KC's
think
not
3 with KC at home got a little bit of a fishiness
They
there.
got 4-point
well,
spread.
it moved to 4
Right.
very recently.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going for the surprise here. I think the Dolphins going to pull this game off somehow. I don't know if they're going to win it, but I think this game is going to be as tight can be. I think the Dolphins at +4 in this game got a shot. I don't know. For some reason, I just think Kansas City is not the team they were. The Dolphins are definitely banged up, guys. Don't get me wrong. They are a banged-up football team right now. But I think you set everything aside when it comes to the playoffs, and it takes your emotions to a different level. The intensity goes to a different level this time of the year. And I think the Dolphins somehow are going to stay in this game. I don't know if they're winning it, but I would take them +4 in this game. That's a 5-unit play for me. I feel the Dolphins can cover.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's it. That's it for Saturday, by the way.
1 degrees.
Listen, don't you want to have a game down here in South Florida so you could be doing the Big Kahuna show in front of the stadium?
I'd love to see it, but let's see what happens. But Mahomes Andy Reid, I think they could pull some things out
Yeah,
of
I
their
mean,
hat.
listen, all the credit in the world, Mahomes, Andy Reid, Kelsey, the whole 9 yards, but they got a lot of guys banged up. They're making a lot of mistakes.
So do the Dolphins.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to Sunday because we got 3 huge matchups, starting with the game between Pittsburgh and Buffalo. Talk about a mash unit. The Steelers lost their best defensive player in T.J. Watt going down. He's out altogether for this game. Current line on this game is Buffalo -10. It's going to be another cold one up there in Buffalo, but both of these teams are used to cold weather, so it doesn't matter. What's your take on this game between Pittsburgh and Buffalo?
The Steelers beat a second-string Ravens team last week.
Mason Rudolph, 3-0.
Which we all predicted, by the way. All 3 of us liked the Steelers over the Ravens last week. So I said, guys, when we got all 3 of us on the same move, make sure you take advantage. As far as this game goes, big line. I just think Buffalo is gelling at the right time. I think Miami, while Buffalo, obviously, they beat Miami and they beat them bad, Miami's not a bad team. They don't perform against the good teams, but they're not a bad team. So if Buffalo beat Miami like that, I think they can handle Pittsburgh. I would roll with Buffalo on this one. I would get it to 9.5 from 10. And the 10 is only -105. So getting it to 9.5 isn't even going to be that expensive. Probably -115.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right. Big Una?
Biggest line on the weekend,
Biggest
wild
one.
card.
Double digit.
Double digits. I'm going to agree with Teddy, but a little different approach here. First half, you take the Bills first half to cover. If I had a sway, I'd probably go for the whole game, but I think the Bills are going to come out, and I like them on the first half.
If I had to guess that number, I'd say it's about 5.5 first half.
So they'll win by a touchdown by the first half. Take the Bills at home.
First half play.
Yes, sir.
All right. You heard it there. All right. Well, listen, I'm staying off that game altogether.
Yeah.
I just, all the injuries and everything else and the conditions in this game, I just don't feel comfortable to make a call on a game like this. Losing a guy like T.J. Watt is very tough for Pittsburgh, even though Mason Rudolph is playing phenomenal, 3-0 as a starter, and he's taken that team that was averaging like 17 points a game, and they've been averaging 27 points a game in his last 3 starts. So, this game's a little tricky for me. I'm going to take a pass on this game, but I am definitely leaning on this next game we're
You're
going to talk about.
good at what you do, Scotty. It's 5.5. I just looked it up. Good call.
All right, 5.5. Yeah, that's what I figured on that first half. 5.5 Buffalo. You like Buffalo first half, right? Big Una?
100%.
All right.
DraftKings is looking for an odds maker. You should maybe apply.
Hey, listen, the first goes. I'm always looking for something to give me something, right? There you go. All right, we got game 2. We got Green Bay. Surprisingly, how about Jordan Love? Huh? Everyone was writing this guy off. Aaron Rodgers moving on. Jordan Love takes him to the playoffs. First year, gets the job done in the final game to get him to the playoffs where Aaron Rodgers did get him last year. We got Green Bay getting 7.5 points against the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. Any take on that game?
Yeah, so, Jordan Love has some numbers in his first year that actually exceed Favre's first year with the Packers and Rodgers' first year with the Packers. Our boy Caleb was just on here. He said he thinks they're going to cover and not win. I'm right there with him. I think 7.5.
Go to 8.
Maybe even go to 8. I just think that this Cowboys team is so up and down. They shine sometimes, they crap the bed other times, and this is a fired-up Green Bay team. I like Green Bay plus the points. I don't think they're going to win the game, but I think it's a lot of points for this game.
Well, I'll tell you, the way Jordan Love has been playing lately, he's really managing the game tremendously. I mean, he's moving the ball around, he's dumping it off, he's throwing the passes, they're running game. So they're really moving it around. Whatever Matt LaFleur did to make some changes throughout the season, it's really working well for Jordan Love. I'll tell you that because he has been playing excellent, very error-free football, and has been staying on top of, staying on top of his game because if you keep the mistakes away, that keeps you in the games. I think they're going to cover this game. I think Dallas, Dallas is a firehouse. We all know that. They know we know they can score. The total in this game is 50.5. I'll throw it to you in a minute. Maybe you have something on that total or the game itself. But I really feel that Green Bay at +8 is a live dog. I think they could stay in this game. I think this game could be a 4 or 5 point game. So I'm going to go with Green Bay plus the 8, and I'm making that a 6-unit play on this game. I like Green Bay. I just like the way Jordan Love and the offense. The defense has been playing well. I think they could stay in it with the Cowboys. What's your take?
Well, Cowboys have won their last 16 games in Dallas. All right, they're 6-0 ATS last 6 Sunday games. The Pack, they're averaging 22 points a game. All right, Dallas, yes, up and down this year, but I'd buy it down to 6.5. Take the boys to cover. They did have a big outing the week before against the Commanders, which is obviously
they beat them both times this year.
Not a competitive team,
right?
But Dallas at home, the Pack are giving up 20 points a game on an average. I think Dallas shines here.
Nothing on the total?
No, I'm going to bring it down to 6.5. Cowboys to cover.
All right. I like it the other way. I think that, like I said, the way Green Bay's playing and managing right now, they can stay in this game. All right, we got a third game on tap here, and this I think is going to be the most interesting game of all the three on Sunday. We got the LA Rams, who have turned their season totally around, playing really well right now against Detroit, in Detroit. The line on this game, believe it or not, is only 3 points, Detroit at home.
Favorite.
I'm going to start with you, Big Kahuna. You have anything on this game?
Well, this is an interesting game. Do you realize both quarterbacks have played for the opposing teams?
Yes, I do.
Where have you had that in the past?
They played each other before.
Right, but other than this other than this matchup, though, I'm saying, have you had two?
No, in a playoff game, you got Matthew Stafford coming back to Detroit,
right,
who
and
was the
Goff,
starting quarterback.
Exactly.
And now Goff was the starter for the Rams for years.
Right.
Now he's the starter for Detroit.
And the game is in Detroit, and they're not allowing people to wear the Stafford Detroit jersey.
Oh, boy.
If you're wearing that, you got to either take it off or leave.
Really?
Yeah.
That's like a strict rule?
That's a stadium rule, from what I'm hearing. Yes.
Yeah, well, what's going on? These crazy crowds lately. I don't want to be messing with rules. Too many nuts out there nowadays. I guess just follow the orders. But what's your take on that
My
game?
take on this one, I mean, the public likes Detroit. You got it. Hats off to the coach this year of the Lions. I think the guy's done an amazing job.
Dan Campbell, man.
Dan Campbell, he was
He's a tough cookie, that guy.
Well, he was
military guy.
He was an ex-NFL player.
Yeah, he looks like a real military.
He was the intern coach for the Dolphins as well.
Yeah.
All right. Both these quarterbacks could throw passes. Points are going to be put up over 51.5 on this one. This is a dead over as far as I'm concerned.
That's a great point you're making, because like you said earlier, both these quarterbacks, they're going to want to showcase each other, right? Because they both played for these franchises in the past.
If there is
they're going to want.
If there is such a thing as a safe bet, look for a lot of offense. Go over 51.5.
Yeah, and both these teams can score. We both know that.
100%.
Your take on this game, Mr. Ted?
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting situation where the public money, based on everything that you look at, and you never really know because there's a lot of unreported stuff out there, but from everything I'm seeing, the public money is on the Rams, actually.
I would think so, right? With the line,
it's on the Rams, and it's moved the line from 3.5. Some books had it at 3 minus 25, minus 3, minus 25, minus 125, and it's all moved to pretty much a flat 3, which is telling. When I look at that, I say, okay, that's moved because that's where the money is. The total has a lot of public money on the over, as you would imagine, and the total's not really moving. It's not really going up. Like in the last game we were talking about.
What did it open at?
It opened at 52 on some books, 51.5 on some books, and it's at 51.5. That Packers-Cowboys total, it went up 3 points, right? And you got the same amount of money on it. So this is a game, with all this talk I just did, staying away from it.
Oh, man.
There's just too much confusion.
Sorry, guys.
You built this
Ladies,
up. You built this up, and
I tried. I try to get something out of these guys. Sometimes it's real hard for me.
Man's entitled to pass.
You know what I really like? I mean, I like a 7-point teaser. And I like the Rams plus 10 to Green Bay plus 14.5.
I don't hate that at all. I like that a lot.
I like the 7-point teaser, guys. I don't put out many teasers, but when I do, I got to feel right about it. I think the numbers jive with this. I think Green Bay could stay absolutely within 14.5, and I wouldn't mind taking double digits with the Rams. And I actually like this game to go over. Definitely. I would just bring it down to 51, keep it simple. Because remember, we're doing these shows early in the week. I keep saying this to you guys. We're doing them almost 3 days ahead of time. So numbers do change. So we're trying to lock into the best numbers to give you the betting edge that we feel makes the most sense. So I am taking the over 51 on the total between the Rams and Detroit. That's a straight bet. That is a 6-unit selection. I rate them 1 to 10, just so you know. Everyone's saying, well, what's 6 units? What's 5? 1 to 10. And so obviously 6 or 7 is a good, strong play for me, and that's what I'm using on this game to go over. Anything?
It's hard to give a 10-unit play on a playoff game.
Yeah,
like
well,
this. It's really
got to
hard.
hit every criteria.
One thing I'll say is when you're looking at all these games and you're breaking them down, that total that we were just talking about, I would actually feel more comfortable if it moved up to 53 or 54, and then I would actually like the over more, where a lot of people that are watching this, they see that total go up, and it makes them want to bet the under.
Right.
It's just like human nature, and it's kind of rookie nature in this business. But
it makes you go, thing,
right. But for me, that total moving up a little bit would actually make me more comfortable betting the over.
Well, don't forget, it's a 51.5. It's a big number. I mean, regardless. So,
for NFL, it's a big number.
It's not like
Definitely.
college. They can run these things up, and they 74, they go to 78. But 51.5 in a playoff game is a pretty strong number. All right, let's get to the final one. We hit them all. I mean, we might as well finish it, the last one.
Yeah.
We got a Monday night football game, 8:15 p.m.
That's another. When was the last time there was a Monday night?
I don't know. I was asking you that.
I don't
think I've heard of one.
I'm not aware of it. The NFL's getting pretty slick what they're doing with their scheduling, huh?
Yeah, they're trying to, squeeze out an extra day of, making money.
They're getting slick here. And
look at this game. Who would have thought this would have been a matchup 4 or 5 weeks ago when Philly was 10-1? You would have thought Philly would be playing, number 1 seed.
On the
Philly
road.
on the road as
In
a
Florida.
3-point favorite against Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield, talk about a success story. How about him turning it around? I mean, they're 9-8 for the year. And Baker's been playing pretty damn good, consistent football throughout the year. Philly -3 against Tampa Bay. Total on this game, guys, 43.5. Got to ask you.
I mean, Baker had so much hype coming out of college that he, in a lot of people's eyes, he didn't really perform. But he's really a solid quarterback. He had some bad years.
He made bad decisions when he was younger.
He had that kind of like Johnny Manziel, cocky, party dude, attitude, frat boy.
Right.
But he's gotten it together. When he was at the Browns his first year, they made it to the playoffs. So he's the real deal.
Maybe he got Tom Brady's old locker or something, and like the vibes came out of it.
He got the vibes. I mean, Tom Brady kind of put this team together. They're really not a bad team. They're a solid team. They got Mike Evans. They got some weapons, right?
Hall of Famer for sure.
So I look at this game, and the Eagles are just a mess, right? The Eagles are an absolute mess. Public is on the Eagles, so that's what's causing the line to move slightly towards the Eagles. But I'm buying this thing to 3.5 and taking Baker and the Bucks.
Wow.
I think they put the nail. It's just not the Eagles' year. I think they put the nail into the Eagles' coffin. And here's why. It's not blaming Jalen Hurts. This Eagles defense is not the Eagles defense of the last few years.
Yeah.
That's really my issue with the
The only problem I have with Tampa is which team's going to show up. Some weeks they look so solid, and then some weeks they just look like a train wreck.
No, I mean that's the case for a lot of teams.
You got to be solid because you know the Eagles are going to come. You know they're coming in this game. So if Baker, and their offense is lame, I think they're going home. That's my opinion. I just, you got to be up for that game. But I'm going to ask the Big Kahuna. You have an opinion or a take on this one?
Big Kahuna, I think this line is a gift for the Eagles. Yes, the Eagles have fell apart the second half of the season.
Yep.
But they got a great team, the Eagles. They show up. This is a cheap number. They could easily blow out Tampa.
Yeah.
They've been there before. Playoff Super Bowl experience. I'm going to buy it down to 2.5. Fly, Eagles, fly.
What about money line?
Well, you could
Too
take the
high
money.
to juice, minus 150.
Well, that's a big number. I wouldn't lay 150 on anything. That's how you go broke in sports
Of course.
betting. Yeah.
And then you got to win 2 to make up for 1, as they say.
No. Get it down to 2.5. Fly, Eagles, fly.
We got to see if A.J. Brown's playing in this game, too. He got hurt in that last game against the Giants. He's a big weapon.
That's
for
a big weapon. That's a huge weapon.
That's why
Yeah.
the line is low. That line should be higher.
But I agree with you in that one, because if Philly shows up, man, I just don't see how the Tampa's going to play with them. I mean, unless Tampa just has their A-plus game. I don't know. The Eagles are due for a bust-out game, big time. They've been due for like the last 5 weeks, basically. And if they, playoffs, maybe the intensity level will take them, get them riled back up as a nucleus. But, we'll see what happens on that. Yeah. We've hit every game, guys.
We've hit every game. I just want to say, when I sit down to make my playoff bets, I'm going to probably lean towards what Scotty was talking about, and I'm going to probably put some teasers together, because these things are going to be tight. So I'm going to put some teasers together with some of these picks that we've talked about. I'm going to see where the line goes, and then I'm going to put teasers together with it.
It's funny, because on these teasers, you could probably almost play a lot of these games both ways.
Right. They're going to be very tight.
Right.
They're going to be very tight.
You could be getting action on both.
Look for a middle.
Yeah. That could be an interesting concept. All right, listen, we went through all 6 games. We're excited about it, guys. We're looking to see who gets to the big dance, the real big one in Las Vegas, the Super Bowl. That's going to be incredible out there, having a Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Wow.
They're selling tables. They're selling a table.
I heard about it.
Yeah, on the field.
Was it 700,000?
700,000, and then there's one behind it for 400,000. Which one are you going to get for us?
Oh, he's going to get the one behind it.
Selling. You have to sell a kidney to get to Vegas for that weekend, man. Are you kidding me?
No, Big Kahuna's going to get us the table.
Oh yeah, I'm going to
I'll
get you a table dance maybe.
I mean, think about that. That's
only $20. Come on, Big Kahuna.
That's 3 hours.
I don't think they got table dances anymore. It's all lap dances these days.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
If I got that table, I would want to be able to have it for the whole day, the night before, and the night after.
That's going to be the party of parties. That's all I could say at this point.
That's going to be amazing. Think about it. If Las Vegas, I mean, 5-6 years ago, nothing. No hockey team, no football team. I mean, look what's gone on. Now they got the Formula One there every year. You got to, they're going to have everything eventually. But
yeah, their hockey team needs to step up, though.
Yeah, their hockey team's been.
They're kind of slacking.
They started
right now.
out.
I'll tell you who's not slacking are the Florida
Canadian
Panthers.
teams.
And yes, thank you for listening to me last week.
Vancouver, right?
The Vancouver Canucks, the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah.
These are value picks in the NHL right now, guys. You're going to get these teams right now at -140, -150, where they should be -180. That's value.
We got to get somebody on that knows the pucks, because the pucks is popular. A lot of people do better.
There is a group that does a show here. We're going to speak to them. They're Canadians as well, so they're the real deal.
Yeah, I think definitely, the audience would, a lot of guys are playing hockey. And I like hockey. I've used it. I follow certain teams. I follow certain moves. I don't do it too often, but I've had some success lately with my hockey.
I love early season hockey because you could find that value where the odds makers don't catch up. Like, for example, right now, the odds-on favorite to win the Stanley Cup are the Avalanche, and to me,
over the Bruins.
And I checked about a week ago, and it was, or maybe a few days ago, and it was. Yeah. To me, I just don't think that's the pick at all. So I just think there's a lot of value in picking some NHL right now. Like I said last week, the Canadian teams, Canucks, Jets, very high value right now. So that's what I think you got to look for. Look for a 130 or a 140 that you look at and you say, wow, that should be 160 or 170. That's the type of play I like to make.
UFC 300 was announced.
Oh, they did? Yeah. They announced all the fights, though?
Dana did a thing last night. I mean, I'm not a UFC guy, but he has 299 and 300 already scheduled.
I actually had the opportunity. I went to UFC 100, UFC 200. I don't know what UFC 300 brings to the table, but we'll be trying to go. I think that's in April.
In Vegas.
Right, April in Vegas. All right, listen, a lot of good things to look forward to at the beginning of next year. Anything you want to add before we go? We had a great show.
Great show.
Guest.
It's going to be a great weekend here. I mean, I've been on fire on my Instagram, so I don't want to just sound like, but check it out, OSB_sports. And we're going to have a lot of football up this weekend, a lot of NBA. my YouTube, OSB-Sports. And
I like the sunglasses. Are you going to South Beach after the show again?
I'm going to go to
Ever
South
since
Beach.
he returned from the hiatus, he's been rocking the sunglasses
well, listen,
on the shirt.
sometimes
Ben,
you
what's
need-
going on with the
Yeah.
sunglasses, man? I think he's hanging out down with those hot women down in South Beach.
Yeah, hot women.
That's what he's spending his time lately.
You gotta hold
We
on.
don't see him anymore.
You got to hold on to your wallet when you go down there.
All right, Teddy, where can the people find you each and every
Yeah.
day and get all your great information?
I would think first and foremost, youtube.com/@thesportsprofits. We are 21-6 in our last 27 games on there.
Man, you guys are crushing it.
It's mostly hockey and college basketball that we're doing that with. We don't touch the NBA, as I said. And
that's all free, right? 21
all
and
free.
6.
All
right.
free.
Guys, don't complain.
Instagram @the_profits_pick, TikTok @thesportsprofits, sportsprofits.com.
A lot of profits, man. You know what? And it all makes sense. A lot of profits. All right, guys, I'm Scott Matthews. I'm the host here of the one and only OSB Sports Podcast Show. You can find me each and every day. I put up nothing but free. Everything I put out is free, whether it's on Instagram or TikTok. My Instagram handle is @SMSportsPicks, PICKS. Check it all out. And you can find me on TikTok @SMPicks, PICKS. Well, we had a great show. I appreciate you guys being on with me again. And we're looking forward to next week's show. Check out everything we do. It's on all podcast forums, guys. All of them. I'm talking about Spotify, talking about Apple. Watch our show. Give us some thumbs up. Give us a little love. We're here doing our thing, trying to give you that betting edge each and every week. And we'll be back here next week. Again, the show is called OSB Sports Podcast. Have a great day.